Welcome to the Downtown, brought to you by Arlington Citizen Media. I am Daryl Snoop Jr., and across the internet from me is...
I am Rody John, and across the interwebs from me is...
Amy.
On today's show, we talk to three-time guest Justin Rojas from Envy Games about their partnership with Generation Esports to increase gaming in schools across Texas, along with the Call of Duty League returning to live competition. No fans for them, but the Dallas Fuel recently did announce that July 9th at Esports Stadium in Arlington, they will be there live with fans so they can burn blue in person. And we also talk about bicycling around the metroplex.
We also talk with Ann Ruppenthal from Chapps Burgers about how Chapps began, their recent facelift, and what you can look forward to being added to the menu.
Wow. So when you talk about Chapps, are you talking about all of the restaurants? Because there was one really close to my old place. It was on Arkansas and 360. Do they own all of them?
Yes.
Yeah, how many are there in the Metroplex? There's like 10 or something, 8 or something like that.
Yeah, I want to say 10 to 12.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's one in South Arlington. There's one in, I know I've eaten at the one in North Richland Hills. They're just kind of all over the place.
Yeah, they talk about the one in Keller that they actually closed that one down to move it almost basically across the street. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, that's an Arlington institution. I mean, anytime, like on the Arlington Foodies pages, somebody says, oh, I'm looking for a good burger, you hear, two things mostly, right? And it's Almost Famous Burgers, which we need to talk to them.
Nearly Famous.
Nearly Famous. So everybody always says that, and now I'm doing it too. And then Chapps every time.
Yeah.
And they've got great onion rings.
Chop House is pretty great too.
Yes, that one gets mentioned a lot as well.
Now that they're at one location again.
Yeah.
Were they not? Were they at multiple locations?
Yeah, they had two different locations, but then like one ended up being a steakhouse, and then like.
Oh yeah, I remember that. They're both on Park Row, but they were like a mile away from each other, or not a mile, but half a mile away from each other.
But then they closed that one back down and went back into the old building, and now they're on Little Road. Yeah,
the one that they and Salsa Joe's is I think at the place where Chop House was.
Yeah, that was one of them. Then it was Connie's, and now Salsa Joe's.
We've got to do Mexican food, tacos, enchilada, whatever it is next time. For after our pizza tournament of toppings.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully now that we're all vaxxed and ready to go, and hopefully no resurgence, I'm knocking on wood, we can hopefully get back out there and finish that thing so we can move on to the other cuisine in Arlington that needs to be appreciated by us and everyone.
It's true. I mean, we also have so much diversity, not only in the with people of Arlington, but the food as well. So I'd like to spotlight that and kind of help people. Maybe if you don't know what you're getting yourself into, we can explain it to you, hopefully do somewhat of a justice to it. So
sure, right. Like if you've never had Vietnamese food or you've heard of pho and you want to try it, right? Like maybe we can point you in, this is what you order. That sounds like a great future project.
Yeah, or Lebanese or Mediterranean. Yeah. Not just pizza, but pizza we do have to finish in. We all love it.
Eventually. 2 years.
There is
years of pizza.
Yeah, there is
I mean, there was a little bit of a pandemic in there that kind of stopped us from doing it the way we want. We would have been done with it like that summer, probably. That's my thought. We would have been done. We would have had the winter. Would have been great. Another thing that COVID robbed us from.
Well, now we got something to finish the year out with.
Yep. All right.
Hello, I am doing well, thank you.
So, Envy Games is launching a partnership with Generation Esports to increase gaming tournaments in schools across Texas. Can you tell us more about this?
Yeah, I'm really excited to be partnering with Generation Esports, with their high school esports league, as well as their middle school esports league. programs. NV Gaming has been looking for, the right partner to do this with and kind of be a part of this scholastic environment in this, southern region. We're really focused on making sure that we're making an impact with the community here in Texas and surrounding areas, and creating this entry point into esports for the young people that are at these schools who want to start their career in esports and do it locally. There's a lot more to esports than just playing the games, and that's a big goal for us. It's educating the students, the educators here in the Texas area on what esports is all about from a career perspective and, operations and marketing and sales and sponsorships and events and all the good stuff, creative content that's around esports rather than just being a professional player. And High School Esports League is one of the largest and longest running competitive gaming organizations for high school students in the U.S. So, they're a great partner to be working with, and they have a good focus on that education piece as well.
Yeah, I love that you touched on that because not just being a great, esports competitor as it is, but there's so much behind the scenes that go into putting on these big events. Like, if you're a football player, you could go, I guess, play football anywhere, but you have to promote it. You have to let people know what's going to happen, where it's going to happen, how the lights are going to be on, how your commentators are going to be. These are things I think a lot of maybe some of the fans in general don't think about. And I love the fact that this is helping not only middle schoolers, but high schoolers think bigger picture. Because, when it comes to esports, yeah, you can be great as a game player, but as we've seen with Astro, not only was he great when it came to being a competitor, he's also great when it comes to putting these events together, putting teams together, just the whole big picture.
Yeah. And there's so much to it. And one of the biggest things that, when it comes to, school age people who are in these programs is this is a type of program, esports particularly, is a type of program that doesn't fit the same mold as traditional sports, as theater, as any of the other clubs and things. What's been the most amazing about it every time I've spoken at schools, like with the DISD schools, or we have an Allen ISD engagement here shortly as well too. There's a lot of kids who would not do anything else extracurricular at school, but when there's the opportunity to participate in an esports program, they will. And when you engage a student like that, just with one extracurricular activity, their chances of success exponentially grow. And we're really excited about that piece.
Right, it's true. I mean, with kids, you just have to find that thing that they're into. Because, like you said, there's some kids that aren't into traditional sports, or maybe they've tried them before and it just wasn't for them. But some kids are into art, some kids are into, other things. And esports, especially now, is even bigger than it was, obviously when you and I were kids. So the fact that that is an option for them, I think is hands down one of the best things that could happen to them.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So the UIL, which is the University Interscholastic League, doesn't exactly sanction esports as a varsity competition yet. Do you think this is a big leap forward to making progress and making that a possibility in the future?
Well, I think so, and especially working with Generation Esports. As of last year, they're actually the exclusive esports sponsor of the UIL, which is really awesome. While the league and the games themselves might not be necessarily sanctioned yet through UIL, this is a great step, to getting that as part of the, overall curriculum and experience. Generation Esports operates programs at over 300 schools in Texas, and then over I think it's 3,400 schools across the U.S. and globally. So, it's a great partner to be working with to reach these established schools who are already forward thinking in these types of programs.
Now, could we see yourself in a varsity jacket for esports?
Man, it's funny because I went to high school at Booker T. Washington High School for the Performing and Visual Arts over in downtown Dallas, and we did not have sports at my school because we were an arts magnet. And I went there for visual arts, and there was no such thing as a varsity jacket really at that time for me anyway. So this might be the, my opportunity to get involved in some high school esports because I technically couldn't. And so that's exciting for me.
Yeah, I mean, I went to Martin High School in Arlington, and I wasn't exactly I wasn't athletic. I just didn't want to compete in any sports. And I was always like, man, those jackets are so cool, but I'm not going to go that extra bit to whether it be band or for the sport. So I was like, well, I guess I'll never have one of those jackets.
Yeah, it'll be cool to get a jacket, and then you get the pin on your letter for whatever particular game you play. Probably some sort of car for Rocket League, maybe one of the heroes for Overwatch or something. That'd be super cool.
So switching gears just a tiny bit, the Call of Duty League and our 2020 Call of Duty League champions, the Dallas Empire, have announced that they are returning to live in-person competition. The Empire will be hosting its first LAN event at the Esports Stadium here in Arlington from June 17th to June 20th. Could you tell us more about the event that's happening?
Yeah, we're really excited to be the first LAN event for Call of Duty League in over a year. We got the, luxury of being the team to work on that. And it's been, something that us as a Dallas-based esports team, we've really embraced the live event aspect of esports. And we are excited when they ask for teams to volunteer to host these events. We threw up our hands first, right? And so we're going to be hosting the major. It's going to be the fourth major of the season over at Esports Stadium Arlington. It will, unfortunately, due to the pandemic still being a thing, have no audience. It'll be attended exclusively by the players and teams and the league staff as well as the event staff. Unfortunately, media and fans will not be present. But we're really looking forward, to at least having this be the start of LAN events happening again. It's a very different thing to do. Even if fans aren't going to be online, the competitive aspect of it, of the teams coming and playing against each other, in person, because if you're not familiar with, esports and things, the latency of traveling signals over the internet, the millisecond delays that exist, can affect the competitive gameplay, and being in the same place at the same time on the same, local area network environment, makes competition at its highest level.
Right. Plus, just looking in your competitor's eyes and just looking at the team and being like, okay, they look a little off, or I see a little bit of fear over there. I think I might have this. So that is just adds another level to the competition. Yeah.
And unfortunately, due to the, again, COVID restrictions and things, Activision Blizzard is being very, very cognizant of, the teams are going to have fairly limited interaction outside of probably being on stage. We actually have individual team rooms for each of them. And we're really trying to limit the amount of cross interaction, inside the venue as possible. And we're even doing food and things on the outside. So while it's not ideal, it is the best we can do in this current time frame, and it's better than not happening at all.
It's true. So like you said, there will be no fans at this event. But as we've been seeing, the MLB, pro wrestling, UFC, NHL, and other sports have been letting fans back in. What do you feel is the time frame that we're looking at to start having people at these events again?
That's a good question, and unfortunately, I don't have a solid answer for that. I know Activision Blizzard in particular, since they're the ones that really, own and operate the league, they follow CDC guidelines as much as possible, and that's always the communication I've gotten from them. Is if things change with the CDC, then we'll change for our events. And in the time frame, who knows? With the vaccination rate going up and the number of cases shifting here and there, and we'll see where we end up in that. Maybe hopefully for finals, we'll have some fans in place. That'd be exciting. But we're still getting good viewership. That's one of the interesting things with esports, right? You don't have to be live and in person for there to be a lot of viewership. I think the league is up 10% in average minute audience, and up 15% in the primetime minutes compared to last year, which is great. And then that's almost, I think, 80% up for hours watched in total. So, for the trajectory of what we've seen in the end of live events for the last year. So I think we're on a good path to increasing that viewership. Hopefully that also means, with the digital viewership going up, once we do come back for audience allowed events, the need and the drive will be there. To be honest, last year, since it was the first year of Call of Duty League, we had a lot of events planned. And I was a little skeptical of if the league was existed long enough for the fans to have been built yet. So it's almost a good thing in a way that we had a year of building the audience leading up to our next live event.
It's true, because you're building the fan base, and I guess you're also building the want for seeing it again, because absence makes the heart grow fonder. So if they can't be there live to see it, seeing it live via Twitch or YouTube is even better. So that way, once they get to see it again live, it's even better, and they kind of have more of an idea as to what they're getting into, who they're rooting for, who's the teams, and all that.
Yeah, and there's definitely a difference from an energy perspective when you're at an event that has an audience versus not, right? And that's great for broadcast. That's great for promotion of the league, in the future. That's great for the players to experience and increase their drive to win or to not lose. Sometimes more importantly, because they don't want to lose in front of an audience. So it's exciting in all kinds of different ways.
Right. I mean, as you've seen with the Last Dance documentary came out last year, and we all were wrapped in it, and then we're all watching this old footage of Michael Jordan and everybody, and the fans. There was so much. As much as obviously we were watching Michael Jordan, we were watching how crazy and how fanatic the fans were, and with that, you want that at every competitive, whether it be traditional sports, esports, concerts, whatever. If the fans make the experience even bigger and better.
Yeah, very much so.
Since we talked last, you've actually taken up biking. What do you have a favorite trail you like to ride, and do you have a list of places you're looking to ride in the future?
Oh man, I have done a lot of biking. Pandemic encouraged me to get outside and be more active, which has been great. That's a positive for the pandemic for me. I'm all over the place. I've explored all kinds of trails. Some of them out in Arlington, some of them out in Plano. I live in the Frisco kind of Little Elm area, so I frequent those a lot. There's this really crazy long strip that goes through Dallas that's extremely flat and straight. That is, I think, a 6-mile trail that goes towards White Rock. So if I want to get some speed, that's a good one to go on. But I like to go out in nature and stuff, and I just started mountain biking, so I'm really excited to hit more of those mountain biking trails.
Yeah, my buddy, he just moved to Michigan, and he's been really getting into mountain biking up there as well.
Yeah, it's a different beast.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, yeah, you're going in a more rough terrain than just regular biking on trails and stuff. Because but you're also seeing parts of nature that you won't be able to see on kind of a paved trail. So it's it depends on which you're looking for, but they're both fantastic. And just getting out in general and getting sunlight on you is perfect, not only for your body but for your mind. And so congratulations to you on starting a new hobby as well.
Yeah, thank you. And I mean, that's the thing, is I've seen so much of this city. I've seen more of the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex this past year than I have my entire life living here, probably because of that. So it's a beautiful place, and I've seen trails and nature that I didn't know existed here.
Well, that's always good. Well, one of our catch lines is rediscover your city, and you're rediscovering the metroplex, so that's fantastic.
I am. Thank you.
So since Post Malone is now a part owner in Envy, what's your favorite Post Malone song?
Let's see. Probably Better Now, I think.
That's a good one.
It's just a good, positive song. There's actually an 80s remix a guy did of it, and I like that one a whole lot. It sounds like Wham is doing it. It's kind of fun.
Really? I'm gonna look that up. I like his new cover that he did of I Only Want to Be With You that they did for the Pokemon soundtrack, and I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So where can people find out more information on you, Team Envy, these events coming up, the partnership? Where can they go?
If you guys want to follow me anywhere, I'm Just Rojas across the board, JUSTROJAS on Twitter, on Instagram, on Twitch. Haven't been streaming as much on Twitch lately, but I'm occasionally there. Of course, for all of our esports activities, we've got our different accounts. Envy Gaming, or Team Envy would be at Envy on Twitter. And then you've got our Dallas Fuel at Dallas Fuel, and Dallas Empire at Dallas Empire for your COD goodness. And then, the same places pretty much across the board for your YouTube, Twitch, et cetera, et cetera. So pretty easy to find.
Right.
Just type in our names on Google and you'll find it.
I didn't even touch on the Fuel. The Fuel's actually been killing it right now.
Oh man, it is a great time to be a Fuel fan. We just won the May Melee Championship, and we just signed our new DPS player, Pine, who's kind of a legend in the scene. And so not gonna lie, we had a little bit of a struggle for our first 3 years as the Fuel, and this year we're really popping off.
Oh, without it, I mean, I feel bad I didn't even mention them, but like you said, they have been absolutely killing it right now. And if you're not a Fuel fan, you need to be burning blue now, because get on the bandwagon while you can, and then just keep following these guys.
Yeah, don't get off the wagon. That wagon's going to keep moving in some direction.
Yeah, it's not even a wagon at this point. It's a fuel-on. It's a freight train.
There you go.
Well, Justin, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to chatting in the future.
Hey, thank you so much.
Ann Ruppenthal with Chapps Burgers. How are you today, ma'am?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
So, how did Chapps Burgers begin?
So, my father, in 1983 or so, 1983, 84, he was working at a company in Arlington, and he was working the night shifts. But he's a very active person, so he needed something to do during the day, so he's trying to find something to do during the day. And he and a college buddy of his was like, oh, why don't we just open up a little burger joint?
Yeah.
And they found a space here in Arlington off Division and Mesquite.
Right.
Rented it and just started a burger joint, just kind of experimenting like what they wanted to do. The menu changed a lot, but they knew they wanted to do like big half-pound burgers, because at the time that just wasn't a thing.
Right.
So they knew they wanted to do something different, and this was kind of their way to experiment and give them both something to do with their off time.
Right. Yeah, so full disclosure, we are here at Inclusion Coffee, and we were saying before we started recording that we're not far from the location at all.
That's right.
Yeah.
Very full circle for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So, Chapps uses Nolan Ryan brand beef.
Correct.
How did that partnership come together?
So we are one of the very first restaurants to actually use Nolan Ryan ground beef in their restaurants. So we had a representative when they were starting out call us several years ago, and just kind of reached out to us, met with him, and really liked them as a company. Seemed like that was the right move for us.
Right.
They're very big into quality beef, quality products. Obviously, everybody knows the Nolan Ryan name, so that doesn't hurt. But it just seemed like a really good fit for us, and we continue to partner with them. And then that particular sales rep that we met with then, has obviously moved up in the company, and he still is in touch with us almost, weekly.
Right.
Just reaching out to us. So we have a really special relationship with them.
So do you have a fun Nolan Ryan story?
Do I have a fun Nolan Ryan story?
Or I guess any Nolan Ryan story, really.
No,
I don't think there's a bad one.
No, I really don't. I wish I did. I really don't, but he's been so gracious and so generous with us as a partner.
Yeah.
I know when he was here at the Rangers, he would invite us out all the time to go watch a game and all that stuff. And even when he was down in Houston, a couple years ago, he was actually, it's kind of funny, I was in the restaurant, which, as you know, I'm not here that often, but I happened to be in the restaurant. and our Nolan Ryan rep happened to come in, and we were just talking and about rebranding, because we were rebranding a couple of years ago, new interior, new logo, new everything.
I was going to get into that in a minute.
Yeah, and he was just like, hey, if you ever want Nolan to do a commercial for you, he would be happy to do it. And I was like, did he just say that Nolan Ryan would do a commercial for us? And if we wanted him to, yes, of course. So he's been so gracious and generous with his time and support that, we've been really fortunate.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it's in every chapter I've been to, there's pictures of him eating the burgers.
Yeah. So we've had him, so he's been in our restaurant as a customer, obviously, as a partner. He's been, he's done promotional photos for us, and then this commercial that he's done for us. So yeah, it's been really great. Like, he spent probably 6 hours shooting that commercial for us.
Oh, yeah. 6 hours of eating burgers. That's terrible.
Yeah, it is really interesting when you see how a commercial is done.
Yeah.
And you just feel so bad. Like, he must be so sick of that bite right now. I mean, we're good.
Yeah.
We're a good burger, but I don't know.
6 hours good?
Right. Maybe an hour.
Maybe an hour. Yeah. So, as you mentioned, you guys have kind of had a bit of a facelift in the past few years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know, because I used to go down to the South Arlington location on a regular basis, and it wasn't like a dive place, but it was not grimy, but you knew you were getting a good burger there.
Yeah.
What went into, I guess, kind of making all the restaurants look similar and the facelift in general?
I would say, so like you said, I think all of the locations kind of had their own look in a way. And like you said, it wasn't a dive, but it was definitely more of a mom and pop feel.
Right.
And we are all family owned, which is great.
Right.
But then I think several years ago, I hadn't been involved in the business for a very long time. I think the last time I had been involved in the business was when I was in high school, and I was actually working the cash register or flipping burgers or doing fries. So it's been a very long time ago. And then kind of at the point in my life where my parents kind of wanted to step back a little bit, I was like, all right, maybe I should step in and kind of help out. I'm an only child.
Oh, wow.
So it kind of felt like maybe a good time to transition. These are the things, that I would like to do with Chapps. And so when we were talking about, should I come in, do I want to come in, help out, there were a couple of things that I kind of had in mind. Like, okay, if I do this is what I want to do, and are you okay with that? One of them being giving Chapps more of a uniform look and feel, updating the interior, updating our menu, just making it seem not like a chain, because we're not we don't want to be like a big
right. Because you guys are really only in North Texas.
Yeah, and I like the idea that we're family owned, we're a local business.
Right.
So I didn't want to lose that, but at the same time, I wanted to keep up with the times as well, because I know we have a lot more competition.
Yeah.
Like when my dad started out, like I was saying, there was not a place in town to get a burger where you could get a gourmet type burger, big half-pound juicy burger on a bakery bun. Back then it was fast food and that was it.
Yeah.
Nowadays that's just not the case.
Right.
So it's almost like my dad kind of pioneered that a little bit.
Yeah.
And then everybody else just in recent years on this burger craze has kind of jumped onto that, but we've been doing that for over 35 years now. You know? So I think it was a good transition for us. People don't like change though, so it was interesting when we did it. Like some customers were, when they initially walked in, they were like looking around. Am I in the right place? Because it was such a drastic overhaul. But, a lot of time and thought and effort went into making sure that it, we still served the same quality food. It just had a new look and feel.
Right. I felt that way too when I walked in. I was like, wait a minute, I know this is Chapps. But
the sign says it is.
Did they get bought by someone?
Right.
Or are they trying to expand?
Right.
Or
well, it is kind of interesting too, because I think people who don't really know too much about us, who just go in to eat, some people think that we're like some big corporate chain, and it's really not like that. It's my parents and I, and aunts and uncles and cousins, and we truly are a family owned business.
Right. Yeah, it's not like Whataburger that got bought out by some Chicago company, and now you'll get them in Iowa and Montana at some point. Yeah.
Right. I remember years ago, even kind of before I got involved, I was just helping my mom a little bit, but I wasn't fully involved.
Right.
Like if she needed help with something, then I would kind of help her out. But I remember I had just had my kids, and my mom flew out to help me with the kids because they were babies.
Right.
And I remember we had something come up on social media or on Facebook, and it was a big uproar, or like someone was upset about something, and she sent an email, and like, your corporate office is going to find out about this. And I was like, and my mom and I are like handling the twins and their babies, and like, you know, you're just like, if people only knew that you were helping me burp babies and change diapers right now.
So you look over to like, hey, corporate.
I know, totally.
Has a problem.
Totally.
Right.
So we've tried to, obviously as we get bigger and things are just moving faster, we've had to hire more people and things like that, but we are still family owned and run.
Right.
Yeah.
That's still a good feel, because it can get lost in the shuffle when it comes to, even if it's an investor saying, hey, we love everything you're doing, don't change anything, but maybe do this or that or whatever. And it can get lost in that shuffle, but if it's still that mom and pop feel and the way it's run, nothing gets really lost in that shuffle.
Yeah, it's really interesting too, because over the years, you always have salespeople or whatever come in and they're like, oh, we want to, like, you can, get more zero waste if you order these frozen fries. Yeah. And one of our signatures is we fresh cut our fries every single day. We've done that since the beginning. That's not something I ever want to change or we ever plan on changing. But so many people are like, oh, you should really do this. But as a family-run business, it's very easy to be like, nope, not going to do that. We don't have to answer to anybody else saying, oh, but the bottom line will look much better if you went with a cheaper product or if you compromised on your quality over here a little bit. Like, we don't have to make those kind of decisions because there's just certain things that we just don't want to change.
Of course, but because then listen, I get it. You're running a business. You want to save money where you can.
Totally.
But not in the food. Like, if that's your business, the taste will come out.
Totally.
It will taste cheaper.
Yeah.
And nobody wants that.
Well, and especially for my family, we love to eat.
Yeah.
Like when we're at dinner, we are already thinking about, all right, what's for breakfast the next day? And I'm going to see you again on Thursday, so what's for dinner on Thursday? Like, we're always thinking about food.
Yeah.
Good or bad or whatever.
Yeah, I saw something the other day that said, we're eating lunch, but we're talking about what's for dinner.
Totally. That's us.
Exactly.
Oh, were you with us at our family dinner last
night?
Yeah. Yeah, so we are really like that. So when it comes to things like quality and taste, and like, we take a lot of time. Like, we were just meeting yesterday about what new menu items are we going to introduce.
Oh, okay.
And so it's a lot of that, like, I don't like that. Do you think the customers will notice? We kind of also have to take a step back because we are so particular.
Right.
Like, all right, we notice because we are tasting everything side by side and we're hyper-focused on this. Is the customer going to be able to? Probably not, but we're so focused on, the little details like that.
Right, as you should.
As we should be.
Yeah, the details make everything.
Yeah. But it's been, it has been interesting just over the years when people are like, oh, you should do this or you should do that, and everyone kind of has an opinion.
Of course.
Being family owned does give you a little bit more freedom to
say no.
Yeah, to totally say no. Right, because you're, like you said, I'm not answering to an investor or someone who's completely removed from the emotional part of it.
Right.
It can be good and bad. Sometimes we are too emotional.
Well, yeah, because it's your product.
Because it is our product, right? And I think people kind of forget too, like, at the end of the day, we are humans.
Right.
Well,
that's what's so funny about when you'll get that corporate email.
Yes.
It's like, listen, no, it's us.
Yeah.
I'm burping my kid right now while I'm one-handed replying to your email, and some people just lose that connection of trying to talk to one person to another. And I hopefully we get back to that at some point, but it's just so easy to, you can't even say a keyboard because your phone has a keyboard now, but behind a screen saying, hey, this sucks, you need to do this, or blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, it's been really interesting over the last several years, I would say, with like social media and things like Yelp reviews and online reviews. I mean, it's been great.
Right.
At the same time, you do get a lot more feedback, which is good.
Right.
But I do think the feedback is different.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's positive, which, obviously we love that.
Obviously.
Other times, either we are human. There are times we make mistakes?
Yeah.
Sure.
Everybody
of course.
does.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
When people email us, though, I make it a point. Like, I am personally emailing, replying back. It's not some, boilerplate reply. Like, I personally am replying back to each and every one because I'm like, because I do take it so personally.
As you should.
But it's one of those too where I think when people write to you, they don't realize that you're a person or that you're not a big corporation, and so when I do reply back, the responses I get are really interesting because they're just like, the tone in the initial email might be really like harsh, more harsh. And then when they realize that, hey, we're just a family-owned business, like trying to, especially during COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm so sorry, but we're just, it's tough right now, and we're just trying to survive. And then it's really interesting how the tone, like, people are like, oh, wait, right, they are just human.
Like me, weird.
Yeah. And there are times too where we legitimately make mistakes, and I do thank those customers as well.
Yeah.
Because nowadays it's so easy for someone to write a negative review because they had a bad experience or whatever, or we let them down, but never give us a chance to fix it.
Right.
At least the people who are emailing us or reaching out to us, like, hey, I just want you to know, this was my experience. Right. It wasn't, it wasn't what I expected.
Yeah.
At least they're willing to give us another chance. I feel like if they're emailing me, that door has, they haven't,
right.
wash their hands clean of us. Like, I'm never coming back. I think it's their opportunity. It's them saying, hey, you know what? I want you to. Can you fix this, or can you do better? Yeah. We will certainly try to do better.
Right.
And where we can fix it, we'll fix it.
I think also a lot of times, not even just with reviews, but just kind of out there, people are so easy to just give a really bad review as opposed, or say this sucks, and then you ask why. It's like, well, it just does. Like, well, that's not exactly.
Yeah.
Constructive criticism will get people farther than just saying stuff sucks or do this, do that.
For sure. And you try. I think initially when we started getting a lot more. I don't know. Yelp has been around for like what, 5 or 6.
Time gets lost now at this point.
So I think when
I'll say 5 or 6 years.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I might be aging myself. But
I'm as old as your company, so you're fine.
Okay. So you're young.
Yes.
So I think like when it first started coming out, gosh, because I am an emotional person. I grew up with this. This is Chapps is like another child. It's like my sibling at this point.
Right. It's like saying your brother's an idiot.
So you do take it really personally, and I was so. It would like ruin me for the rest of the day if I got a bad review. It would be like somebody insulting, a family member or whatever. And over the years, I've just learned like, hey, sometimes people just have a bad day. Yeah. Like I had a customer who was upset about something because her online order didn't go through.
Okay.
And sometimes it isn't really our fault, it's technology and whatever. And she was really upset, so I called her.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm so sorry. It probably just didn't go through. I promise you didn't get charged. And she was just having a rough day. So you just felt so bad for her. So she, I could see where she was frustrated. She would take it out on whoever happened to be there. It happened to be our cashier at the time.
Right.
But as soon as I talked to her, you could tell she was just having a rough day.
And sometimes that's just it. Like that's just it. That last thing sets them off.
Right. And that has absolutely, and that's when you're like, you know what, this has absolutely nothing to do with your online order. Right. I know that initially it seemed like it was all because of this online order. Right. When you sent it, it just hung and spun and didn't do anything. And you find out, it really has nothing to do with that. Yeah. Again, customers are human too.
Right.
There's stuff going on in their world. So I think I just try to look at it now, like if someone sends us a really, harsh email or whatever, I'm like, maybe they're having a bad day too. Maybe it has nothing to do with us.
Right. Could be their kid kept them up and they only had 2 hours of sleep.
Yeah,
or
totally. And they really wanted a burger. Now, hey, I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes you need the food.
Exactly. So you did mention that there are some new things coming to the menu. However, during the facelift, you guys did take some things off, like you said, and put some stuff back on, or new stuff on. What did you put on, and what can people look forward to coming up?
So when we did our rebranding a couple years ago, we added more specialty burgers. So the Knockout Burger was one, the 1984 Burger was another, Chicken Tiki was another one that we added. Something to give people, that people have what they like. They have the option to create their own burger.
I normally do that.
Yes, I don't blame you. I do that as well. But there are also people who kind of want everything already done, and they can't think of how they want it made. They just know if it tastes good or not. So I think that's what we were trying to go for, just giving them the option of, hey, we've got this special burger here that you can only get at Chapps. And so we came up with those. And so I think as we move forward, when we start introducing new items, I think you're going to see a lot more of those type of specialty type sandwiches.
Okay.
Maybe it won't always be a burger.
Right.
Maybe it'll be chicken or turkey or Philly or anything like that. Like I think we're kind of exploring all avenues.
Yeah.
But it'll definitely be more of the, hey, it's a little bit unique to us. Not that you can't get a great burger anywhere else,
Obviously.
but we are trying to say, hey, but at Chapps you can get the 1984 burger, the Knockout Burger. You can't get that anywhere else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So can we get a little hint as to what people can look forward to in the future, and then maybe about when it's going to roll out?
Yeah, I will say that I don't want to give anything away because we haven't finalized anything, and I don't want people to get their hopes up.
Yeah,
that, hey,
she said this sandwich.
You said this, and I'm going to get these emails. Wait a second, I have it.
Yeah.
You said this. I will say it will be more of a specialty type burger.
Okay.
Maybe with some new different ingredients,
Gotcha.
maybe different mixes, maybe different sauces.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm guessing you've been a rodeo go before, and you've seen their incredibly long list of burgers you could choose from.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So I mean, we understand that there are other competitors
Right, of course.
out there.
Well, there's always going to be other burgers.
There's always going to be other burger places. Do I wish that there weren't? Of course. But
competition is great, though.
I guess there can be others. People want a choice.
Right.
But as my husband always reminds me, like, I could eat a burger every single day.
Yeah.
Do I always want to go to the same exact place every single day? No.
Right.
Probably not. So, like you said, competition is good.
Yeah.
And it also keeps us from getting complacent.
Yeah. And stale.
Yeah. As well. Not that we were complacent before, but I think the competition has certainly upped it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we were kind of here first. We can't forget to remind people that, hey, we're good at this. And I will say, like, one of the bright spots of the last year with COVID and the pandemic has really been like, oh wow, we're still here, and we survived, and we did. It wasn't great. I don't think it was great for many people besides Amazon. Maybe they came out pretty well, I think.
And
in the
I think
pandemic.
any liquor company at this point.
Yeah. I think those companies did well.
Right.
But in terms of being in the restaurant business during COVID and the pandemic, the fact that we were able to keep all of our people employed, that we were able to stay open, that we were able to reopen, like, I think that says a lot for who we are and our product. Like, our customers were really loyal, and we would not have been able to survive without that, for sure.
Yeah, I think during this whole pandemic has kind of allowed businesses, especially restaurants, to just pivot, or hopefully they pivoted and maybe learn a trade, like whether you make sure your online business is still good and maybe a little less flawless. I mean, like you said, people love technology until it doesn't work.
Yes,
so
exactly.
If you get an online order and it doesn't work, maybe pick up the phone and actually call them. They're still there. Somebody's going to pick up. So, and then curbside's still going to be a thing for some people, keeping it on their menu. Not on their menu, but I guess
as an option.
Yes, as an option.
Yeah, I would say that that's totally true for us. Like, at the time of the pandemic, when it kind of started, we only had 2 locations that were online.
Yeah.
People were using it, but it wasn't like, wow, this is the main driver how we're getting orders.
Right.
And then during the pandemic, it was like, oh my gosh, we need to get everybody else online. And not that they didn't want to be online, there was just no driving factor for it.
Well, you need to try a couple to kind of get the kinks out.
Totally.
And then it makes sense to roll it out with the rest of the stores.
And I think once we got everybody else online, that'll be something that we continue to do. Because I just think that's just the way of the future. I think over the last year too, people who never ordered online had to get used to ordering online. And so now you have a whole nother group of people that might not have done that before. Now they're doing it. Curbside in the stores that we can offer it. So most of our locations, it makes it a little difficult to do curbside just because of where, of course, the restaurant is situated. But where we can offer curbside, we do. Like the location in North Arlington off of 360. We have designated to-go parking spots, you know, and if you select curbside, then we can bring it out to you. You know, those are the things that I think we'll continue to do, because I think the customers have gotten used to, I know I have gotten used to it. I cannot remember the last time I actually walked into like a Target since they started offering curbside.
Right. I mean, why would you?
Why would I?
Well, it gets very expensive because
it gets expensive, yes.
Once you get in there, you're like, oh, well, I'll check out over here.
Yes.
Oh, I want this, I want that. Yeah.
Now my credit card is, you know, not that it's been better, but
right, because online shopping is even worse.
It's even worse for sure. But at least I'm not buying those impulse purchase items.
Exactly. That they want you to buy while you're in there.
So curbside, I think for us will continue.
Okay.
You know, we're also relocating one of our locations in Keller.
Okay.
Yeah. And that one we've made a conscious effort to kind of incorporate the things we've learned over the last year. Like, okay, what do we need to incorporate into this, you know, new location in order to make it a little bit more adaptable to what we've seen in the last year.
Right. But can we look forward to any new locations?
Yeah, so one of the things that we're kind of working on now, and it's always been in the back of my mind to do when I joined a couple years ago, is we're looking into possibly franchising. Okay,
very nice.
Yeah, so we will continue to look at opportunities where we can open more corporate stores or more stores that we own.
Right.
The main problem with that for us is really finding the people to run it.
Right.
And, you know, with 7 locations now, we are stretched a little thin,
of course,
as it is. So to add one more location to what we already have, it's a little bit harder if we're going to try to do it all on our own. Not that we're not going to, but it just makes it a little bit harder. But one of the things we are looking at is possibly franchising.
Okay.
But, you know, again, it's very personal. It's going to be, who do I want to, you know, marry into my family here?
That's the other thing,
Yes, it has to be a nice, seamless fit. It won't be for everyone.
Right.
But I will say that I think that we have a good model for someone who wants to run their own business with a product that's already known.
Right.
It's not like you're opening something and you have to wonder, am I going to have customers on the first day?
Right.
Will anybody walk in my doors? Will I have any sales? You know, I feel confident that any new location we open, I feel like we would be hitting the ground running because we are known in the area.
Right.
And I think it's just more of, okay, can we find that right person or people to bring into the fold? And if we can, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
That would be really amazing. So I think we're open to all of it.
It's kind of like Parks and Rec where they were putting a Paunch Burger. People are like, oh, a Paunch Burger's coming. As soon as you put that Chapps Burger, people are like, oh, okay.
Right, right. And, you know, I will say there are people who still don't know who we are.
Right.
Because we are local.
Yeah.
So I think just having more locations just gives you more visibility.
Right.
I am very aware of the fact that I personally like the local chains, and not that I'm opposed to a big national chain, and there's nothing wrong with any of them.
No.
Would I like to be the owner of one? Sure, why not? But I am conscious as a consumer.
Right.
If there's a neighborhood place that I know is good, that's kind of where I want to go.
Right.
You know?
Especially like, let's say you're going on vacation, and we get a lot of people. We're a destination city now because we've got 2, well, technically 3 major ballparks.
Yes.
We've got Six Flags. We've got Hurricane Harbor. We've got Bowling Hall of Fame, which you wouldn't imagine a lot of people are coming to, but they are.
Yeah.
And they want local things.
Yes.
And if they've never seen a Chapps Burger, why wouldn't they go to a Chapps Burger?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's unique because, you know, we are Texan.
Yeah.
We've been here for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're coming in from the Northeast.
Right.
You know, and trying to be Texan.
Yeah.
You know, it was born here, and it's really interesting too. Like, we were just meeting with one of our reps from Pepsi yesterday, and they're doing this big promotion like Taste of Texas.
Okay.
And they only pegged like 50 restaurants, like, out of their customer base who represent Texas. And they were like, hey, you're one of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we're like, oh, okay, right. You know, so it's kind of a nice feeling to have, oh yeah, right. Like, people do know us.
Right.
And we do represent Texas.
Very much.
Yeah.
And you've got Nolan Ryan, which
and
is
we've got
the epitome of Texas.
How much more Texan can you be?
Right. I mean, who hasn't seen that shirt with him, or with Robin Ventura in his arm and he's punching? People love that shirt. Yeah.
People love that.
Yeah. I was at that game when I was a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
Watch the video and all of that.
Oh, of course.
Of course.
Well, and then recently not recently, it's been 5 years now with Odor punching Batista in the face. Yeah, we loved it. So we've got a new Don't Mess with Texas.
Yeah,
even though
totally.
He's with the Yankees now.
Yeah, which is so interesting because when you look at that clip, he's not taking anything from anyone. And then you meet him now, he's just so nice and so great. You're just like, oh wow, but he's got that in him.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's that Latin flavor. He's going to get on you if he wants to.
Yeah, for
sure. Where did the name Chapps even come from? We need to ask that.
So I was a kid then, but when my parents were trying to think of names for the restaurant, they kind of wanted something to sound a little bit, not Western, but a little bit more Texan, right? Like cowboy chaps and things like that. At the same time, it was a little bit more upscale. It's not your dive burger joint, because we were offering something a little bit different. And back then, there was a Ralph Lauren kind of a, yuppie brand. They came out with a line called Chapps. But it was CHAPS.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're like, oh, right. This is kind of like that, not a yuppie burger, but, kind of like that upscale.
Yeah, it's not that regular fast food burger.
Yeah. So that's kind of where the name came from. And it's been through different evolutions. It was, Chapps Hamburgers, I think, when we first started. Then it got shortened to, then it was Chapps Hamburgers Cafe, and then it was Chapps Cafe. Yeah. And then when I came back in, I wanted to remind people, hey, we are a burger place. Yeah. So that's when, we just rebranded to Chapps Burgers.
Perfect.
Yeah. I think it's pretty descriptive of what we serve.
I would say so, yeah.
Yes.
So we have a segment on the show called Terminal Toppings. We're trying to find the best pizza place in Arlington. You grew up here, so what's your favorite pizza place?
Oh my gosh, you are really going to date me.
That's fine. I told you I'm as old as the company, so you're fine.
Oh my gosh. So I have not lived here in a long time.
Yes.
I am sure there are many pizza places here that I have not tried. But I have and I don't even know if this is here anymore.
Possibly.
But I grew up on Mama's Pizza.
Okay, yeah, Mama's is still here.
It's still here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fielder and Randall Mill.
Okay, so I went to school at Arlington High.
Okay, then yeah.
And then right up the road, because...
so I guess Nisa Pizza wasn't across the street when you were there. Okay.
No.
Wow.
No. Now I've really dated.
Well, no, you're fine. So, I'll take you even further. Nisa Pizza is still across the street.
Okay.
They have new owners now.
Okay.
But the original guy who started Nisa Pizza, his son actually opened Beck's Nisa Pizza over off Lamar and
Oh, really?
Cooperish, by the Kroger. Yeah.
All right, so I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
But like growing up, there was a Mama's Pizza by our high school.
Right.
We would go there for lunch, grab a quick off-campus lunch.
Right.
And then we lived in South Arlington at the time, and there was also one in South Arlington.
Right. Yeah.
And back then, when I used to work at Chapps, we used to trade food. Like, hey, you want some burgers in exchange for... We don't do that anymore, but back then, back when. So like I said, there are probably plenty of amazing pizza places now. But that's when I think of pizza growing up, that's what I think
That
of.
Mama's crust is fantastic.
I know, there's something about the crust, right?
Yeah,
And
it's almost like a little awning over the rest of your pizza.
Or there's like, I don't know, like it's kind of like a garlic bread.
Oh yes, that's
type
it. Yeah.
Feel, I don't know, taste to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what
No, Mama's is fantastic.
Okay.
It's actually a very popular choice for many people.
Still?
It's usually old school and Mama's, I think, is the top two.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
You were saying old school is in
Sorry, old school pizza and such.
Okay, not that I was old school.
Not that you're old school. No,
okay,
no,
thank you
sorry.
for the clarification. Okay.
You're experienced, if anything. Yes, that's the way I always look at it. Where can people find Chapps online and on social media so they can check out the menu and the amazing burgers? So you guys take amazing pictures for the burgers so that people would know what they're getting into.
Yeah, so online they can find us at chappsburgers.com, all one word. We have a Facebook page as well, same thing, Chapps Burgers. We have an Instagram profile. We have a Twitter account. All the things that you need to have Now this is where I feel old, when I'm like, it's all the things that you're supposed to have.
Right.
We have someone else who kind of does it for us because I am not experienced in any of those areas.
I operate our Twitter, and then I mess with the Instagram sometimes, and it can be a lot.
It's a lot.
And we're not doing TikTok.
We are not doing TikTok. No. I think at one point someone asked us like, "Oh, it'd be really cool. You can get," or like Snapchat.
Oh,
or something.
Snapchat, yeah.
Yeah, like, "Oh, you could have this really cool filter," and I was like, "I don't even know what you're saying right now."
Are you saying words? Like, I'm not sure what's happening right now.
Something about filters and chatting. Like, I don't know. So we're kind of sticking to the more traditional social media platforms.
The easier ones, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think probably our Facebook and our Instagram are probably our biggest ones.
Right.
We love when people send us pictures.
Yeah.
And we like to highlight that. You know, there are times too where people, like my own family, they're just like, "Hey, our picture, how come it just doesn't look, you know, as polished as some of our other ones," and things like that. That's because and that's why we like to use pictures that people send us.
Right.
And those pictures tend to be the ones that get the most likes or, you know, reposts or whatever. Because I think it's like, oh, this is actually someone's food. This isn't in a photography studio with inedible ketchup, you know, pasted on there. This is like someone's actual burger.
Yeah.
Not that we don't have those beautiful, pretty shots, of course, either, but for the most part, all the pictures that you see on Instagram or on Facebook, very few of those are actually professionally taken.
Good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now with iPhones, right? Everyone can be
everybody's got a better camera than most photographers do.
Although it seems like when I take a picture, I don't know why my pictures never turn out as beautifully as some of these people with an iPhone. I'm like, you took that with an iPhone? But how? I don't understand.
My girlfriend showed me the portrait side. That's apparently the best way to take pictures.
Right?
Yes. Everything is blurry in the back, and then except for the thing in the front.
Yeah. Well, there's so many, but like you can edit and the colors and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in another life, if I ever want to have another career, maybe photography might be it.
Yeah.
But all the pictures that you see, very few are professionally taken. They're all either customer submitted or stuff that we take. Like, oh, this customer ordered a 3-meat burger. Yeah, I'm gonna take a picture of that.
Of course. Yeah.
And if the customer's not embarrassed, I also want to take a picture of him eating 1.5 pounds of beef. Because to me, that's just amazing.
Yeah. Some people get very weird about that because they're like, oh, I don't want to see me eating.
Yeah. But like when we and there's our carrier location seems to get a lot. I don't know why. Yeah. But they tend to get these huge like double meat 1-pound burgers with all the things on them.
Jeez.
And you're just like, wow, that's just impressive.
Right.
That is impressive. It's not even it's like the 1/4 pound double meat.
Right.
It's like, wow, that's just amazing.
Well, there was that time, I guess maybe a decade now, where people would go to In-N-Out and get like the 12 patties on top and like all the cheese. I'm like, you're not gonna eat all that.
Yeah. It's really crazy, especially like In-N-Out. That's not as big here, right?
No, they got here. It's starting to get bigger, but
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
because like y'all, they do fresh ingredients, so they had to have an actual hub so they can actually send the stuff out to I think they started that, and then from there they built from there.
Yeah, I will say like In-N-Out, their fries, I just don't think compare to ours.
Oh, without a doubt, they don't.
I know they're fresh cut, but I'm like, I don't know, guys.
Right.
There's something, I don't know.
No.
But I am biased, I will admit.
Of course,
I'm biased. Yeah.
But I mean, I also think Whataburger is better than In-N-Out is, but a lot of people are like, no, In-N-Out's, but burger debates are a good thing, though.
Yes, correct. Yeah. See, I'm not above admitting that there are other burger joints out there. Do I think that we're one of the best? Of course.
Well, you are.
But, I'm willing to admit that there are other places that serve a decent burger as
right,
well.
Exactly. Well, Ann, thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to the new stuff on the menu, and then now that I'm talking about burgers, I'm going to have to get one for lunch.
All right.
Yeah.
Lunch is on me.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to our guest, Justin Rojas from Envy Games. Thanks for coming on again. We always appreciate hearing about the esports stuff that's going on in Arlington. People don't realize it is a huge industry. It's a huge moneymaker, and it is here.
Yeah.
It is here. And thank you again, Ann Ruppenthal from Chapps Burgers. Chapps it's an Arlington institution. Thanks for talking to us. We love that. Anyways, guys, what's coming up in the city?
So, every Monday at Dr. Jekyll's is trivia night. And if you're not there, you can't do trivia.
No.
So go to Dr. Jekyll's on Monday and do some trivia.
Yeah. And every Thursday from 5 to 7, Grounds and Gold is hosting the open mic. I will be hosting this Thursday. I have even heard Cameron Sings may even show up. So, yeah, treat for everybody at Grounds and Gold. Really.
Super treat. Tell her to bring that looper pedal with her, and she will knock your socks off.
Yeah, I think she could probably do a whole showcase show there.
All right. And if you didn't get enough trivia on Monday, every Thursday night is trivia night at Division Brewing.
So every Tuesday every second and fourth Tuesday at Create Arlington is an open mic poetry night. Get out there and do some slam poetry, some spoken word, whatever you're into. Go out there and have a good time and make some new friends while you're at it. And speaking of Create Arlington, this Thursday and every third Thursday, they do pop-up art shows. There's local artists, makers. This one's actually going to have music curated by the football team, UTA, with Lemonade Stand, Goolsby, and Patrick Pumbwana. I hope I said that right. I'm so sorry if I didn't, Patrick. You can yell at me. You can DM me and tell me I'm a bad person.
Yeah. And this Saturday, June 19th, Pele Pro Wrestling is having their next event, Pushing Limits. At 7 p.m. is bell time at 360 Elite Arena. It is at Cooper and I-20, right next to the Party City, the Lamps Plus, behind where Macaroni Grill used to be. Come out, and you're not going to want to miss the show. It is going to be spectacular.
Is anyone cool coming in?
Jeff Cobb.
Are you kidding me?
In the main event against the champion, Sam Adonis. Who else? Who is not coming in is almost the question at this point.
Well, there you go. You got to go check it out, though, because it's pro wrestling right here in Arlington.
Wow. I used to work at that Macaroni Grill. It was kind of sad to see it. No, it was not sad to see it demolished. It was awesome to see it demolished.
Well, you had those graduation goggles on, and you're like, oh, Macaroni Grill. And then you're like, wait a second, never mind. I didn't like working there. We're good. You guys can go ahead and burn it to the ground.
Yeah. No, it was terrible. Terrible. All right, guys.
And that's why they burned it to the ground.
I liked Macaroni Grill. I thought it was good.
There's plenty of other ones you can go to. That one in particular had a little issue. Issues. Anyways, while you guys are out and about and not eating at the Macaroni and Grill in Arlington, don't forget to go out and...
Make sure to go out and eat local, drink local, and...
Go rediscover your city.
Tag us and send those pictures over to us on Facebook, Arlington Citizen Media, Twitter, ATX Citizen Media. Tag us on Instagram, Arlington Citizen Media, and send those pictures the old-fashioned way. Email arlingtoncitizenmedia@gmail.com. Also go to our website, www.arlingtoncitizenmedia.com. Don't forget to subscribe and give those 5-star reviews of the Downtown at Apple Music, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and also hit us on SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, and YouTube.
You guys been up to anything cool?
No.